Hi, I am Osman, a Master Level Energy Healer with telepathic capabilities and specializing in terminal illnesses and critical care recovery. I am also an advanced level yoga and meditation teacher. And be sure to visit my website, yogawellness786.com, for more information on my services. Also remember that my treatments are all natural based and not a replacement for medical treatment. If you have a medical condition, be sure to consult with a qualified and licensed medical practitioner in your locality. I had a unique experience, a faith healing experience, a Christian-based faith healing experience today from a guest that visited us in our home. And they are a group of ladies. One of the ladies was someone that I knew very well in my past, I think over 15 years ago or so. And I knew her probably for about another 10-15 years before that, because she was affiliated to some family members, and she became independent over time, and by chance she happened to pay a visit, and it was a pleasant experience. And she declared that she's involved in ministering and ministering to people and praying for people and so forth. And I respect that, of course. And before leaving, after having a pleasant conversation and catching up, with what had happened, in our past, and she requested permission to pray, and of course, I will not deny anyone permission to if they want to pray, so that was fine. And then of course she started to, I didn't expect it to be a different kind of prayer. So she seemed to pray very intensely and her voice changed. So I'm just describing the experience because I felt it might be interesting from a yoga meditation perspective, especially someone who's advanced and is sensitive to subtle energies, what my perception of the experience was, right? And it was something unique, worthy of describing from my perspective. So it changed because the voice changed completely. I mean, I know her for a long time, and it was a completely different person's voice, right? That is one. So can someone, mimic that type of changed voice? Of course, people can learn. I mean, there's actresses and acting, schools, and people over time can learn to do that. But it was with a lot of passion and prayer, and because it's associated to prayer, I would assume that this is not something that is not genuine, right? It's something I'm assuming that it is genuine, coming from it. But then she started to speak, slip into speaking into a strange dialect, which in the Christian faith is called talking in tongues, right? And that was definitely not in a language that I could identify, but I would say it is the act of talking in tongues, right? And she was very intense with the prayer, and she became someone else and talking in a manner as representing a higher, representing a spiritual being that's talking through her body and mind, medium. So yes, people can slip into some type of trance, and it seemed that she went into a trance. So what was my, so this is the experience that everyone who is present or any normal person would observe. But from my perspective, I felt enveloped, like the room and the locality was enveloped with a higher frequency medium, so it felt that there was a descent of energy that filled the room, and that energy was vibrating every cell of my body. And whether it was a lower frequency or a higher frequency, I would say a higher from my experience of higher levels of meditation, and experiencing higher level frequencies as well as lower level frequencies. I have experienced both in meditation, right? So this corresponds to higher level frequencies, right? I would say. So is it something religious or something that I would say worthy of consideration or attesting that possibly, maybe, and very likely, it is a spiritual a spiritual energy of higher frequency in nature, right? And whatever she was speaking was nothing, I would say, harmful, and it was just something pleasant and blessing, and of course encouraging, surrender and to come to her faith and surrender to her faith, because of this. She spoke of the day of judgment, and for redemption, and if we want to be redeemed, they can redeem us, or baptize us and so forth. So yes, they're preaching their religion. So recently I made a video on the concept of God from a Vedanta perspective and other perspectives, but the Vedanta perspective specifically, where I describe the three levels. The one where they accept all God as one God, and all embracing of all religions and faith. The second level, where it is the Vishtadvaita stage, where a person believes only his faith is the only true faith, and all other faiths are false faiths, right? So it is a very strong belief in that. So her talks and so forth, I would attribute coming from that. I would classify it in that perspective. And no harm in that if someone feels, their faith is the only, and it's actually good for belief and good for faith, right? Because you are committing your full trust and faith and belief in it. And this process of putting your full trust and faith in a particular, religion or faith is from a scientific perspective, from epidemiological research, which was recently, I think 2024, 2025. So it is very recent, because now it's 2025 at the time of making this video. Finding that was described, and which was a 20 to 30 year study, I believe. Of course, epidemiological research finding release means over a very large number of people over a long period of time, and across a wide spectrum and large numbers of people as well, right? From across the globe, right? Covering various geographical regions, in order to get a more scientific, a better conclusive findings. And epidemiological findings are actually much stronger than the regular scientific research, which is more restricted to a much smaller group and a shorter period of time, right? And from these studies, it shows very clearly that people who have strong faith in their religion show a decrease in the the illness markers, right? The ill health markers, where stress levels are shown to be decreased by around 30%, and chronic ailments decreasing by around 20%. The health markers improving by that percentage, of course. And anything that's going to be reducing your stress levels that significantly, 30% is a significant amount, right? Because stress is a major problem in life these days, is amazing, right? And also, if the result is that a lower preponderance to being afflicted by the major chronic ailments, high blood pressure, diabetes, heart disease, cancer, and so forth. So 20% reduction in that is a significant reduction, right? So from a scientific perspective, we cannot, hold anything against people who believe very strongly in their faith. But from an energy perspective, where I'm feeling the energy, okay, this can be said to be very subjective, but I can state very clearly I felt the energy, right? It wasn't as it's now. Like now, everything is thin and clear around me, but it felt like a massive energy that's coming. It's like someone shining some vibration in the room, right? It feels like a vibration, like a medium, like infrared, being exposed to infrared rays, or you're out in the sunlight, not experiencing the heat, but feeling the warmth, the effect of the warmth without the warmth, right? So you're feeling your body buzzing, right, with this energy throughout, but it wasn't just in my body. I felt it permeating the room, right? So what's my opinion? So from a result perspective, there is, we would relate to Joe Dispenza's findings, because his experiences, and he has I think up to 80% success rate in where people with disabilities and incurable become cured when they together, in a group, and they all having strong faith, and they having belief, and they also state that they experience something similar to what I'm experiencing, right? So of course I'm disabled, where I have permanent blindness since May 2023, became 100% blind. And she of course prayed for my blindness to go, and whether it goes or not, the possibility of it going in this type of situation, and also in this type of situation where in the Joe Dispenza experiences, where large majority, so I can't say no, it's not possible, for people to experience it. For people who have faith, strongly, and they get moved by it and they believe, so that belief alone, helps in probably activating miraculous healing from within, right? And although the people claim it's from without, but usually people who's getting healed themselves have faith in it. So myself, being my handicap, my major handicap in not having the type of faith that people are required in healing sessions and faith healing, I don't think I have that, is due to me, my skepticism, as well as the ambit of my research across various cultures, So an ignorant person who goes and gets moved by this and builds his faith and so forth, of course, can experience miraculous, change immediately or over a period of time, right? So I'm not saying that I don't have faith, in this, but I'm not having the level of conviction as a layperson usually has, that results in a healing. And the people that's not getting healed are people who are skeptical and so forth. So my knowledge and experience and so forth is going more on that. But do I believe that faith can heal, and is there a God? Yes, I say yes. I believe firmly in a God, and that is a firm belief in me that has been established as a concrete foundation from my childhood, right, and been developing and getting stronger over time. And from my daily practices, from my religion perspective, I would attribute my activities in my religion to someone with very strong and firm faith, right? Even in my daily activities and when being confronted in stressful situations and problems, this is where the epidemiological study kicks in, right? From my personal religious perspective, which is the different from the faith healers, right? Of course, it's common cause and knowledge that I am Muslim. From my name alone, one could identify that, and I'm not afraid to say that as well. But I don't like to bring the subjective aspects of religion, into my discussions in YouTube, but more the objective aspect from a scientific perspective, because it's important, we are now in 2025 onwards, that we, do or adopt attitudes and actions and activities parallel to that which is logical and scientific, right? And if we can go a little bit beyond in faith, and that is our personal, inner feeling, so without it affecting others, right? So that is okay as well, I believe. And if someone's work is to be a minister or to preach, then it's different. That's not my work. I'm not a minister. I'm not preaching any, religion or something. I'm trying to address, scientific ways where people can improve their health and wellness and their experience of life, and finding ways that are scientific based to increase the capacities that are dormant in humans. Using a combination of modern scientific findings in conjunction with the ancient arts, but always keeping a balance between what is, from the ancient to what is scientific, and trying not to cross those boundaries and going into something that's harmful. So coming back to this experience, I would say it was for the first time in my life that because I've heard these type of ministries before. I've been present in public, but nothing where it was personally addressed. And maybe people came and did it many years ago, and my attunement to the higher frequencies was not as acute as it is now. So this was a very a memorable experience, I would say. And hats off to the lady who is doing this. And of course, she's in, people normally in this field are usually in difficult situations from loneliness perspective and a financial perspective. They're usually not very prosperous and so forth. And she's coming from a prosperity background and going through a challenging period. And I hope, everything works out for her, and that she finds a way, forward, and comes out of, challenges, and experiences more stability and the prosperity in higher levels, right? And I wish this for all people as well. So I hope that sparks some thought in you, and the information, increased your awareness of this from my perspective by just listening. And take care of yourself.